My name is Garry Carter. I am president of ICB Global, which is the Institute of Certified Bookkeepers. We have members and students in 132 countries around the world, and we educate and then support bookkeepers throughout their career. MTD is just a way of ensuring that small businesses have a handle on what their business is doing on their accounts. It's government's way of making sure that people think of it throughout the year rather than at year end. And as far as bookkeepers are concerned, and ICB bookkeepers in particular, it's something we've always done. They're in on a regular basis, they talk to clients, they work with clients. So the fact that Sage gives them a button which they press 4 times a year instead of 3 times a year or once a year really doesn't make a lot of difference. But I think as far as the country and the businesses that are covered by this are concerned, it will make them better at what they do, because it will make them focus more on what's happening in their business rather than rush to the year end and find out it was all done wrong in the first place. I think bookkeepers have taken to digitalization pretty quickly. If you look at the way that they've adopted to the cloud, for example, I think accountants say 64% or something like that have already taken on the cloud. Bookkeepers, it's just above 90%. They were early adopters. But I think also one of the big reasons is if you look at what a bookkeeper does, they work from home normally, they will have 20 to 30 clients. The cloud is a godsend for them because they can go to see a client, then they can work on the books at home rather than take up space in an office with their client. So I don't think digitalization is going to hold any problem for them at all. If anything, I think it will become seen as the next millennium bug, or RTI, or pensions, auto-enrollment pensions. They just take things in their stride. It's what they're about. It's what they do. I think the MTD rollout so far has been typical government. This is what we're going to do, and leave it up to everybody else to try and explain it to the great British public. But I don't think government will ever do it any different. So we have become used over the years to becoming the great doers and sayers of everything that is happening. It's a shame, but we've got the clients, we've got the small businesses, so I suppose government just says, well, you're talking to these people on a daily basis. As long as you know what you're doing, your clients are going to get to know. So it's probably the easiest way to market. I think the delay of taking tax online has been brought about, obviously, it's said by Brexit, but I think also a lot of the large firms perhaps were a bit concerned that there were so many new clients likely to come forward that they couldn't cope. And I think that's where we are as bookkeepers. We did a very rough calculation working on government figures that if every one of the companies currently not using digital tax came to us as an institute, it would be approximately 842 new clients each. So that's a nonsense, it can't happen. So I think this is where bookkeepers are already best set to do this, because by adopting to all the new technologies that are around, it means they will spend less time on each client, therefore take on more clients. But the big importance is, I think, that bookkeepers will always have client contact. They're trained to have regular contact, they're not going to give that up. But what they are going to do is cut out a lot of the work which is mundane, repetitive, leave that to AI or to some computer somewhere, but then actually do the real stuff, which is business planning, cash flow planning, working with businesses and making sure that they get something out of their bookkeeper, not just a set of figures. Our members are moving across to the new programs for VAT very quickly. We've got some early adopters who are part of the pilot scheme. They can't really see what the great fuss is about. It's just it's a different looking platform. And those of us who have grown up with Sage and other software products that change on a weekly or monthly basis, it's same old, same old. And it seems to work quite well, I think. And if it's more accurate, more rapid, all for the good. Bookkeepers now, in order to ready themselves for MTD, ought to be looking at their processes, what they're doing, how they could do things differently. They've got to be aware of the new technology that's going to assist them to do their job better, and be ready for this anticipate a huge surge of businesses that are suddenly going to be running around like headless chickens, not understanding normal accounts, let alone digital accounts, and therefore, we've got to move in and make sure that we're there to support those businesses properly. If you're a business and you're preparing yourself for MTD, the first thing to do is make sure that your advisors know all about it. They should handhold you, and you shouldn't really have to worry about it at all. If you don't have an advisor, now is the time to start looking, because as we get closer and closer to the deadline, there is going to be a bit of a bottleneck. Everybody is overnight going to be wanting to find an advisor. They might well be few and far between because everybody's going to be busy. So get in there early, get in there now, but actually listen to the advisor, and whether that's your bookkeeper or your accountant, and learn how you adapt to the new changes and use those to make your business better. And I think that's the whole thing. Everybody's talking about trusted advisors, and accountants and bookkeepers always come very high on the list, but now's the time to put that to the test. Does your advisor talk sense? More importantly, do they talk sense that you can understand as a business person and use them? That's what they're there for. I think MTD could have been done better by government with a bit more information, because even for the people that have got to deliver it to their clients, we're all a little bit in the dark. But I think that it's like most huge machines that are brought in to make fantastic changes. It's always going to be difficult. And I don't think the government is set up really to deal with the end user. It never has been. And as long as it can give the advisors the right information, time to do it properly, then I think we can take that off their shoulders. People are going to find out about this. It's in our interests as bookkeepers and accountants to make sure that people understand it, know how to deal with it. As I say, it's our day job. It's what we do. Yeah, I mean, some accountants and bookkeepers do find technology daunting. I'm from a bookkeeping organisation, so obviously I'm terribly biased, but I think accountants have got a long way to go, because if you look at the numbers published by some of the larger accounting organisations, the majority of their accountants are still using Excel, and that's the dark ages. I think bookkeepers adapt very quickly to change. You would always think that the people at the top end of the pyramid are the ones to adapt quickly to change. But actually, no, it's the people down on the bottom level who understand that by getting the job done, they can pay their mortgage and feed their kids. I think that there is a desire to get the job done there, and I think we can cope with it. I am concerned that the increase in artificial intelligence is going to start to wipe out the work of a lot of accountants. And I gather from figures published I think it was in PQ magazine a little while ago, Ernst & Young, I think it is already producing 60-odd% of its work via AI. So that's going to affect accountants. At the other end of the scale, bookkeepers have a different relationship. They're different people, they think differently, and it's very much more personal, and you can't replace personal even with Siri. I think the world of the cloud it's there. We deal with it. A lot of people were talking about cloud as if it was something strange and wonderful, but at the same time talking on their mobile phone, not realizing that is cloud technology. And I think perhaps the people who make money from frightening people just made it sound that little bit more difficult than it actually is. The things we do on our phone or on our laptop nowadays, we just couldn't do without. And cloud is just cloud. It's there. It's another tool. It just means that we have instant access, 24-hour access. And in the old days, I think people were saying, well, you have cloud, that means you can go put your feet up, you can do less work. It doesn't. I mean, most people enjoy their work. It just means they can do more work, but in a different way. And they can always have hands-on. Because the thing about small businesses, and this is where sometimes the larger advisors miss out, is small businesses actually live, eat, and breathe their business. It's a 24-hour thing for them. Most people involve their family. Whether the family likes it or not, it's another thing. But, it tends to be Sunday lunchtime discussions over the lunch table about the business and how things are going, or about clients or something or other. So when they want a bit of information, they don't want it on Monday morning when the accountant's finally got his knees under the desk and can give the information. They want to pick it up on their phone. I do it for our organisation all the time. I'm always looking to see how we're doing this month. I think AI is going to keep growing because there are a lot of technicians who owe their living to making sure that they come up with the next big idea. Most of the software companies will have teams of people locked away in dark rooms somewhere trying to come up with the next big thing. Absolutely. And I don't think there's any way that we can get away from that. But we also always have to look at the fact that small businesses are very personal, and there will always be the need for people to understand what their business is doing. I think the incorrect assumption of the AI people is that it will suddenly make all businesses overnight some sort of financial expert. It will make them an administration expert. It won't do anything for their financial ability. So they need people to read the figures and then tell them what they mean. There's an old saying that too many small businesses believe cash in the bank equals profit, which obviously it doesn't. But it's things like that that really make a difference. And I think the personal touch will always be there. It'll be different. We'll be doing different things for our clients, but that's a good thing, not a bad thing.